A last gasp victory for Celtic over Motherwell. It wasn't very good, but at least we won. Yes, welcome along to today's show, which is sponsored by Practical CBT, your route to great mental health. They offer short online courses and affordable Zoom coaching sessions, especially designed for men, with up to 33% off for Celtic AM listeners. Please check out the link in the description to get started. Just me here on to discuss the game right now. The rest of the Celtic AM squad was all busy, or maybe I've done something to annoy them. I'm not sure. We will be hearing from Stevie later on in the show, though. He was at the game. He sent in some thoughts for his post-match from Celtic Park. He was also in the post-match press conference with Brendan Rodgers and had Brendan Rodgers had a bit of patter with Stevie that you'll be hearing about. But yeah, we won is about the best thing I can say, and that is a pretty decent thing to be able to say. It is all about the winning in the end. I did think it was interesting, obviously, with ourselves and Rangers both kicking off at the same time and both going into stoppage time level. I thought it was interesting that we were the ones who went and found a winner, even though we weren't near our best and Rangers weren't able to do that, which is probably kind of pretty telling and must wind them up a hell of a lot. But, you know, from a Celtic point of view, good that we managed to find a way to win and score, I think, our first proper goal in about 5 hours worth of football. So obviously, I mean, the first goal was a penalty, the second goal was a total gift from Motherwell. So to actually work such a really good goal and win the match was a positive. Let's go to the team that started the game. Yeah, 4 changes from Braga. So Kasper Schmeichel was still in goals. We had Anthony Ralston coming in for Colby Donovan at right back. Marcelo Sarachi was in for Kieran Tierney at left back, with Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales in the middle. The midfield was, of course, Callum McGregor. 2 changes in front of him, though. We had Rio Hatate and Luke McCowan in for Benji Negrin and Paulo Bernardo, and the front 3 remained the same. Dyson Maeda on the right, Sebastian Tenekti on the left, and Kelechi Iheanacho up top. I thought it was another really sloppy performance. Like a real, I don't know if like nervousness or sloppiness or a bit of both that's just kind of going through the team at the moment. Just the amount of times that normally pretty assured players were giving the ball away, like Tony Ralston, Marcelo Sarachi, Callum McGregor, Luke McCowan, Dyson Maeda were all just guilty at various stages of passing the ball out the park or just gifting the ball to Motherwell players. And you always think when like that number of players, and to be honest, I could probably picked out a few other players who weren't great, when that number of players are not at it and are doing pretty uncharacteristic things, then you obviously know there's something bigger going on here, and there clearly is something happening with the team at the moment, and they're nowhere near the levels that they should be. We got the first goal in the game. I didn't actually feel, I don't really want to read too much into that goal because it was a penalty. It's, you know, a handball. Iheanacho takes the penalty really well, but it wasn't as if we were like playing particularly well at that point and really knocking on the door to score. So we go 1-0 up and kind of hoping at that stage that it calms us down. And I felt maybe for a little bit after that opening goal that we did start to play a little bit. But it just feels like when you're watching Celtic at the moment, like we go through wee periods of playing quite well and looking like a football team. And then we just kind of fall out of that and fall back into our careless ways quite quickly. And I thought we did that at the end of the first half. The first goal that Motherwell score is just totally of our own doing. And I know that Tony Ralston is going to get criticism for his really heavy touch, but I'd also like to look at Luke McCowan's pass, and I just don't think that's a good pass to try when, you know, we're deep in our own half and that ball has to travel over 20 yards probably, and it's so kind of obviously telegraphed as well. And beyond that, I mean, the pass Luke McCowan plays is pretty poor, and suddenly you're just in this position from a really positive 1-2 seconds prior where we've kind of masters of our own downfall. And Motherwell, who did come after us and press us quite well, have an opportunity to attack us. But to be honest, even from that point, after giving it away so sloppily, we have good numbers back and still concede from the only real threat in the box. And it's a good ball in and a good finish, but I just felt like a few of our defenders were kind of standing there but not actually looking at the threat. So yeah, that sharpness just isn't there at the moment, whether that's on the ball or off the ball. I'm not totally sure where that comes from. It's really kind of difficult to put your finger on exactly what's going wrong with us in terms of on the pitch at the moment. Is it a lack of quality? Quite possibly. Is it a lack of effort and desire and just application? I think quite possibly as well. Is the hunger there with a lot of players? Is it the coaching? Is it just a combination of everything, including all the stuff that's going on off the pitch? It probably is the latter, but yeah, it's a tough watch at the moment. I thought that in a nutshell, that first Motherwell goal that we conceded was just really, really poor in so many different aspects. Things then go from bad to worse, I guess. Celtic Park starting to get kind of on the players' backs, and it's probably about as, I don't know if it quite reached toxic levels, but probably about as volatile an atmosphere as I've heard for a Celtic home game in a wee while. And as I say, it gets even worse at the start of the second half. Motherwell get the penalty that at first I didn't think was a penalty, but you see that replay angle and Sirachi stands on Maswanizi's foot. And yeah, I guess these days it is a penalty because he's stood on his foot. And, the penalty's tucked away well. And at that point, I don't know how you felt, but you're kind of fearing the worst. And in a game that I probably wasn't too confident of us winning before the match, to actually be behind with half an hour or so left and seeing how little we were actually creating and have been creating for the last number of months now, you're kind of thinking maybe a draw is the best we can do out of it. And yeah, it's really tough at the moment. And what happens if we go into this international break with yet another really poor result? Luckily for us, and I think Motherwell were a real kind of, without being patronising, real credit to themselves and a real credit to this game in terms of the way they played. And anyone who's watched a bit of Motherwell this season under their new manager Jens Bertil Askew will know that they try and play out from the back. And I thought it was really refreshing to see another Scottish Premiership team come to Celtic Park and to play like that and to take chances. And at times to really neatly move the ball through the park and exploit our gaps and, play some really good stuff and make a real game of it. However, I do feel that was maybe to their detriment as well as the second half went on. And we were in a position where, we've got our own fans are kind of turned on the team, and it's all just not very good from a Celtic point of view, and the team don't look like they're going to create much to score. And I do wonder if maybe against Hibs, for example, last week, or just your average Premiership team that comes to Celtic Park and isn't too fussed about playing out from the back and kind of just wants to go direct and is happy for us to have the ball and be really defensively compact and make it difficult for us to break them down. I wonder if we would have been able to find an equaliser or a winner against your average team. Obviously, we got a massive hand yesterday and a total gift of a goal. Motherwell try and play out from the back. Their goalkeeper has a total nightmare, presents the ball to Benji Negron, and yeah, it's just an absolute gift. He's not going to miss from there. And it's back to 2-2, and Celtic Park is kind of back on the player sides. And again, it's probably only natural. I wasn't obviously at the game, so people who were at the game will be able to tell me, but I think Falkirk equalised around that time as well. So you know what it's like. That probably just boosts everyone as well, thinking let's kick on here and we can go another 2 points ahead of Rangers. And the atmosphere just kind of changed. And then I think, to be fair to the players, the winning goal is a really good goal. Engels picks out Balikwisha, who has acres of space, and he's kind of looking around him and going, God, I've got acres of space here. And I think for the first time in Balikwisha's Celtic career, he knows what he's going to do, and he's clinical and he's direct, and he takes one touch and he smashes it across goal, and Dyson Maida's there. It's really good movement. I think it's a really good headed finish as well, because it comes at him quickly, and Yeah, great celebrations. I mean, 92nd, 93rd minute winner at Celtic Park. It's been a while, I think, since we've had one of them, and could be a really big moment for this team. And we held on well in the end for what was a really important victory, I think, going into the break. And it probably all has us just asking that question that we were asking after Rugby Park, and that I personally found myself asking so often, 2 seasons ago, Brendan Rodgers' first year back at the club, after so many kind of late wins and getting out of jail. Is that going to be the moment, the victory that really transforms things for us and we can really kick on from here? The turning point, if you will. And I guess only time will tell. My own feeling is that I'm not particularly optimistic right now. I'm really pleased that the team managed to find a way to win the game yesterday. I think that was very important with everything that's going on, and Hearts winning and the Rangers managerial stuff that we'll maybe briefly mention later on. I think it was obviously vital that we won that game. Feels to me more like it was a late goal that papered over the cracks rather than like a real positive sign of Celtic winning ugly. And as I say, that may turn out to be the case as we go forward, and we might look back at that game as being a major moment. I just think we're not looking confident at all at the moment. Like, every single match is kind of in the balance. I mean, you take the European stuff out of it and just focus on the domestic stuff, or even just the league, and the record's okay in the league. Pretty good. 5 wins from 7. We've not lost yet. But you dig further into it, and I think 3 of our 5 league wins have come with 87th minute or later winners. So we've really kind of snatched victories in 3 of our 7 matches. Is that going to continue? Probably not. Like, I think we really need to see an improvement from, so many parts of this Celtic team. And there just are so many parts of this Celtic team that just aren't working at the moment. Like, that right-hand side against Motherwell, I just thought was abysmal. Tony Ralston was like really poor. To be honest, was really poor in his the previous game he played as well against Hibs. Like, he's been really bad in both of those games. I'm not really sure why Colby Donovan is coming out of the team and actually coming out of the matchday squad for yesterday's game. Maybe there's some sort of issue there, some sort of knock he's had. Fair enough if that's the case. But for me, if Colby Donovan is fit, he should be playing ahead of Tony Ralston, even if he's playing on Thursday night, but he only played 45 minutes against Braga. Thankfully, Alistair Johnson looks like he's going to be back, maybe not to start against Dundee, but maybe to come off the bench against Dundee, and certainly after that, it looks like Alistair Johnson will be back for us. And hopefully it's a case of Johnson being our first choice with Donovan getting the other minutes, because I'm just not sure what Tony Ralston's offering is at the moment. Daizen Maeda, who scores a winning goal and deserves credit for that, was incredibly poor on that right-hand side. And I'm really unsure about, what is the solution on that right? There isn't an obvious solution there to me about who we play to kind of complete that forward line. I don't think Balikwisha, a right winger, is an option. I don't think James Forrest is playing well enough at the moment, or at his age is going to be able to be that starting guy. Yang's not it. Daizen is probably the best option, but doesn't look like he can function that well on the right hand side. So yeah, that's a major issue for me. The midfield is just the biggest issue. Don't need to go into that, but yeah, just every game now it's just really struggling. And these aren't like positions where we have players coming back imminently or at all. This is kind of what we've got until January for the next at least 3 months. And we have to find some sort of solution there, or solutions there. And I'm not sure solutions really exist. The positives are that we're still finding a way to win the majority of our domestic matches. And as I say, if you take away the European stuff, which is a pretty big kind of caveat to apply, and look at the domestic record, it's fairly good so far. And we're certainly not in an awful place to kick on from after the international break. And for as kind of poor as we've been, there's probably a few players who are going into the international break feeling all right about themselves. Like, I think Balikwisha will hopefully be going away. Well, he's not actually, I don't think, going away with DR Congo. I don't think he's in their squad when I looked earlier, but he's hopefully feeling okay about himself after that late assist, and he was giving it a bit to the fans, wasn't he, in a good way, which, side point, a lot of our players seem to be doing a lot of that. Tenekte loves this, Nygren loves this, and Balikwisha's doing it now. Fine, but, maybe don't overdo it, because we kind of would rather actually see it on the pitch. Iheanacho should be feeling okay about himself. I like Iheanacho. I don't know if you've caught the video that was shared by ex-user SMax, showing Iheanacho pretty animated as we defended a late Motherwell attack to get through to the full-time whistle. So it's clearly meaning a lot to him. And I guess, to me, it just kind of shows the importance of these new guys who are new to Celtic and are kind of experiencing all this for the first time. It shows the importance of them in getting us through this period. And I'm talking about, obviously, Iheanacho, Tenekte, Balikwisha, Nygren. It's going to start going like that every time I talk about Nygren, so you know who I'm talking about. Kobe Donovan is another one. These guys who you just feel like they're kind of living every moment at the moment, and this is their first time, I think, have a lot to offer us, and I think our offering is a lot more at the moment than maybe some guys who have kind of seen and heard all of this before and experienced all this before, and maybe just don't quite have that same hunger, and dare I say it, would maybe rather be elsewhere. I just think Brendan Rodgers needs to make decisions here, big decisions, and we can't keep relying on these guys we've relied on for years and years. I think he needs to go with some of these new, fresher guys who have more of a point to prove. I think these are the guys who will hopefully lead the way for us, and the manager needs to allow them to lead the way. That's basically my point. Oh, and speaking of leading the way, NordVPN keeps you safe online and streaming worry-free, no matter where you are. And the best part, using our link, nordvpn.com/CelticAM, directly supports this channel. So you're protecting yourself and helping us keep the content coming. Don't wait, get NordVPN today. Remember, the link is nordvpn.com/CelticAM. Anyway, here's the man they call Stevie, and a bit of Brendan Rodgers too.
Hi Hamish. What a relief that was. Now, before I went into the game, I did say that no matter what, performance would have been good, because we desperately need one this season, but we just needed 3 points today, and we got them. Probably just deserved it as well. I mean, after 2 each, after Motherwell, who came with a game plan, looked more mobile than us, looked way fitter, and a lot more organised. When they gave that daft goal away for Benjamin Nygren to equalise, you felt there was only going to be one winner. We didn't create a lot of chances after the ball. We thought we would get one opportunity, and Daizen Maeda stoops home to make it 3-2 with a couple of minutes to go in injury time. Regarding Daizen Maeda, was doing post-match after the game, spoke to the manager, and then I've obviously sent you on the clip about him where I asked, will Daizen Maeda be shunted out to the left or through the middle now, because it's definitely where he's most effective, because the last 3 games now he's been so unproductive out the right, and Brendan had a good laugh at me.
Brendan see with Daizen this season, when he's been on the right, he's maybe not been as productive in the last 3 games, but when he's out on the left, then through the middle, he looked more like himself last season. Is that something you're going to be persistent with going forward?
I don't really know. We're constantly trying to find, you put him on the left, then unless you can play on the right, can you?
But yeah, not coming away for that, overly negative, of course. The main thing was we got the win. Reminded me a lot of when we beat Aberdeen 3-2 in 08-09. I remember coming away from Celtic Park when Jan Vennegoor scored in the dying seconds, and we won the game, but you still had a lot of concerns. It never felt as if Celtic were going to kick on from that. Felt like we got away with it. I desperately hope we're going to be kicking on now after that, and after this international break against Dundee, the team are going to get together and start playing more quick, incisive football, because for too long in that game, Hamish, like up till Negri made the 2 each, the standard was awful. Far too slow. The way that Motherwell just cut through us was embarrassingly easy at times for them. And as I say, like, that was a major turning point in the game. That mistake that allowed us to get back in it in 2 each. You've got to give credit to Motherwell. Played very well. They came with a game plan. They didn't look flustered at all, and played very much like a top European outfit. I think they've got 4 players to come back, their manager was saying after the game, and I'm sure they'll improve. But it's all about what we do too. You know, I'm really hoping that the manager is able to start getting more out of Daisen Maeda for the next few months, and I think that goal will be massive for him. Really hope he kicks on from it now. But yeah, I think just coming away to Celtic Park relieved that we got that 3 points. It was like by any means necessary today. And again, the team are gladly resetting for the second time, getting into another international break. I know Callum McGregor said it already, that he was looking forward to a reset after only a few weeks of the season. Looks like the team need it yet again, so that's obviously a concern going forward. But yeah, overall, just so happy that we got the 3 points. We needed that, because if we went into an international break, 5 or 4 points behind this Hearts team getting into that game at Tynecastle, I would have fancied us, but maybe after that the team will be growing in confidence and a bit more resilient from now on. So I'm going to go. It's currently just after 6. I've obviously done the post-match. Brendan humbled me. I'm sure you'll want to give the viewers a bit of a laugh. But that one, very quickly, a shout out as well to the nice guys who, well, I was talking to outside the stadium as well. Brian, he was a cracking guy, and also who else? 2 of the guys who run a podcast called Our Scotland. I didn't forget. I'm usually bad for these things, but I did want to say a hello to them, and thanks for being so sound. Right, back to Hamish.
Thanks very much, Stevie. Much appreciated, and good to hear you having a wee bit of patter with the manager. And clear that we need to kick on for the Dundee game after the international break. So maybe we will see the front line we've all been asking for at Dens Park. What a scary thought that is. So Stevie has also sent in some audio from the post-match press conference. I'm just going to play out a few answers from Brendan Rodgers for you, starting with his initial thoughts on the win.
It was a fantastic win for us. You know, you can see why Motherwell haven't lost a game. The build-up play, how they build the game up, and the confidence they play with. The coach deserves a huge amount of credit, because we had to be really on it and organised and in our pressing, and we get a goal from that. But there was other moments where they come through the pitch, so they deserve a lot of credit for what they gave to the game. But I thought our players deserved it. You know, I think the mentality of going behind in the game. It's not easy to play here when you go behind, but we kept fighting. Subs coming into the game made a great impact for us, and that final 15 minutes of the game where we had them pinned back and moving the ball at speed and creating opportunities was great to see. So the players, we're nowhere near our level. That's the reality. I think we can all see that in terms of where I would want us to be. But you have to get results when you're a player manager for Celtic, and you have to find a way, and you have to dig deep and show heart, and the players did that today. Amazing.
And here he is talking about Michel-Ange Balikwisha after his late assist.
He needed to feel something in the game. You know, it's again not easy for these guys coming in to play for Celtic. You know, I've spoke to them, because Celtic's great. You look on the outside and you see trophies and you see big games and you see European football, and it all looks great. But actually then you come in and you realise, wow, the expectation here and what I need to do and every single day of my life, and then I have to produce then on match day. So I think for him it's all been a wee bit of a blur. But I'm sure over time he'll prove to be a really good player here, and his little body work to let the ball run across, and a great cross in for Daisen to finish will be fantastic for him.
Brendan Rodgers also asked whether this current period is the toughest test he has had as Celtic manager.
Yeah, I think when I first came back, it was a challenge. But yeah, having to work so hard to try and get balance, try and get speed, try and get everything into the team when there's certain characteristics that is missing from the squad. But you need to win. You need to find a way to win, and I do believe that as the season goes on, we will be better. But we're not. People that have watched us, you see the speed in the team that we've had over the last few seasons, and it's not quite the same. However, we have to find a way. We have to find a way to get the win, and the players have done that today, and showing a big heart, a lot of spirit, great determination, and a lot to fight, which is what you need over the course of a long season.
And finally, on the upcoming international break and getting some much needed time on the training pitch.
It is, but there won't be so much because a lot of the players will be away, and it's not like you have the whole squad and you have them for 2 weeks before Dundee. It's a lot of them will go away. Some of them will recover a little bit, but we'll be ready for Dundee, and on the back of a really good feeling for today. It's we'll look forward to a wee bit of a rest, but get to work and then be ready in a couple of weeks.
So yeah, Brendan Rodgers very much talking up the players' heart and their character, which are traits that we know he's very big on. And yeah, that's fine. I think that's good to hear him being positive and kind of focusing on the positives, while he did also acknowledge that things are nowhere near where he wants them to be. I think the reality here is that we need to see a big improvement from Celtic after the international break, and we're going into some really big games after the break. I think we've got 8 matches in our next chunk between coming back from this break and the final break of the calendar year. And in those 8 matches, we go to Tynecastle for what's shaping up to be a huge top of the table clash. We've got the Cup semi against Rangers at Hampden. We've got a couple of Europa League matches, Sturm Graz at home, Midtjylland away, where we, bare minimum, need 4 points from those 2 games to keep ourselves in with a real kind of realistic chance of qualifying for the knockouts. Like, it's already looking a bit bleak in the Europa League. So, big games coming, and the team have to find a way to produce a better level. I'm struggling to kind of see where that better level comes from, but I'm not at the same standard of, coaching level, not even close, I would say, to someone like Brendan Rodgers. So it's up to him and to guys like Callum McGregor to really get this together, because we're in an okay position. We've kind of gotten away with most of it so far, but if we keep playing at this level over these next 8 games, we could well be out of the Cup. We could be at least 5 adrift at the top of the Premiership and out of the Europa League. Like, things are kind of a bit critical when we come back. And yeah, Hearts are 2 points clear of us. It seems like they're going to challenge us this season. They could fall off like Aberdeen did last year, because not too many people saw that coming with Aberdeen, but we certainly shouldn't be relying on that. Rangers are struggling. They have 1 win from their first 7 in the league, and that was in stoppage time last week. But you may have heard that they have now parted company with Russell Martin. So let's just have a moment's silence in his honour. Yeah, we did our best there. But I think you'd expect Rangers to be stronger after the break under their new manager. They're not going to be any worse, you wouldn't think. We're 9 points clear of them, but it's very early days still. So, yeah, I'd be lying if I said I was like totally confident about where Celtic are heading at the moment. I don't think we're heading for like complete and utter disaster. There still appears to be enough character in the team with some of the late goals that we're scoring. And, a couple of years ago, we did find a way to get through a period where we're scoring a lot of late goals. Remember, like Fir Park, Easter Road, when Adam Ida and stuff like that popped up. And then we did kind of manage to steady the ship after that and really kick on. And we might see something like that again I wouldn't totally write it off, but as I say, big games coming up. We really need to see something. Just more immediately, today is Monday, and later today, this evening, there is a meeting scheduled between Celtic and some reps, including Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay, and several fan organisations. So that's going to happen later today. I think 8 groups invited. They've been each allowed up to 2 reps. So you're going to be talking quite a big meeting. I think well over 20 people, probably, if my maths is half decent. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And I did mention that the club hadn't actually invited or kind of said something out directly to the Celtic Fans Collective. They'd gone to these various fan organisations like the Celtic Trust and the Green Brigade and the affiliation of CSCs. And I think the plan is in future for them now to contact the Fans Collective. I think they've been given contact details for the Fans Collective, so we'll see if that changes going forward. And I think the plan is for maybe some smaller meetings as well, where maybe more can be achieved. But tonight is hopefully going to be a half-decent start. And I believe from what I'm hearing that transparency is a pretty key thing that the Fans Collective are going for, and that they'll be looking to share details of what is discussed in the meeting with the various signatories of the open letter. Obviously, Celtic AM was one of the signatories of the open letter. So hopefully I'll receive some information on tonight's meeting at some stage, and I will, of course, share that with you when I get it. Oh, and we did have a banner yesterday as well. Oh, yes. So, it should still be a fair bit going on during this international break. I'm certainly going to be continuing with the daily videos, so please stay along for the ride, and we'll be back with the matches before we know it. But for now, I'll say goodbye. Thanks again to Stevie and to Brendan Rodgers and to Dies and Maida, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.